Hey guys, my name is Nora Franch, and welcome to the podcast Grateful Blessed Mess, daily reflections for those in the 12 steps. I am a fellow 12-stepper and certified mindset coach, and I am here to introduce you to the value of mindset coaching in your 12-step journey. So if you feel like you are stuck in the steps, if you're slipping and sliding with your abstinence, mindset coaching may help you as it did me, and you can find me at CatholicMindsetCoaching.com. These episodes are meant to invite you in to consider the truths of 12-step wisdom and to join in the very real struggle of living them in action. I hope that it feels almost like a mini meeting, and I invite you to contribute your own share on the Grateful Blessed Mess Facebook group to keep the discussion going. My comments are based on my own experience, so feel free to take what you like and leave the rest. But my hope is to encourage you on your own daily 12-step journey. As they say, you cannot stay clean on yesterday's shower. So without further ado, let's begin. We're reading today from Voices of Recovery, February 4th, page 35. And if it can happen for me, it can happen for you. And that's a quote taken from a Lifeline sampler, page 317. Here's the reflection. Are you willing to go to any lengths? Asked my sponsor. I am, I answered. I ring you every day. I pray. I go to meetings. I write. I'm doing everything you say, so why can't I just get abstinent? My sponsor replied that not only did I have to do all these things, I also had to put down the food. I had to stop eating compulsively. She promised that if I put down the food and picked up the steps, eventually the desire to eat compulsively would leave me. And it has. One day at a time for more than 9 years, I've been almost totally free of the desire to eat compulsively. It seems that the less I overeat, the less I feel like overeating. In the early days, I felt like overeating all the time. My sponsor said, "Don't eat no matter what," and I didn't. These days, I rarely feel like overeating. Through putting down the food and picking up the steps, the desire to overeat compulsively has been lifted. Thank you, God. Thank you, OA. If it can happen for me and for countless others, it can happen for you too. Ha! Yay! Yay! That's good news. That is such good news. And it does. It works that way. The less you overeat, the less you engage in your substance of choice, the less you want it. And for me specifically, I can only talk about food. I am in the 12-step group Overeaters Anonymous specifically. That is where was taken to my knees and found my recovery. And I can say I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary of the first time I walked into the rooms. It will be by the time this airs, it will have happened, God willing. My first meeting ever was the day after Thanksgiving in November of 2012. And I can tell you that the thought of not having the desire to overeat or to not be engaging in the self-harming behaviors of exercise bulimia and restricting, I never thought that was possible, and I never thought the day would come. And quite honestly, I wasn't even going into the rooms for that reason. I just knew that I was at the end of my rope and I was miserable, and apparently you could help me. and that's what I needed. And then eventually my higher power took over. But I can tell you for sure, if you can't even wrap your mind around not wanting to engage in whatever it is that's bringing you to a 12-step room, you're not alone. And chances are you're one of many. And so you're in the right place for sure. But this is also a program that demands you to engage in an act of faith, to do these things that you don't really want to do for an effect that you don't really think will happen, simply because someone in your life who's farther along in this program is telling you to do it because that's what worked for them. And the willingness comes from the desperation. You may have heard that GOD, God in program, the gift of desperation. That is something that will make you say yes and try things that you had no desire to say yes to or try before, simply because you are that miserable. Isn't that like a messy blessing right there? Like, woohoo. I know for sure that was true for me, just the daily commitment, um, the working of the steps, the going to meetings, the calling the sponsor, all that stuff, writing, journaling. I am so grateful now that I have those things built into my life. I don't know where I would be. I'm a little scared to think of where I would be without them. And so I am just so grateful for them. But it is something that most people who aren't, if you're not in that level of pain, chances are you're not going to be motivated enough to bring these disciplines into your life. And so it is a blessing to be brought to your knees to the point of entering into a 12-step room. And so even if it doesn't feel like it right now, keep going, one step at a time, one day at a time. And I promise that eventually, one day, your desire to participate in your disease will be lessened. It will be extremely lessened. It may even be gone. And it may be gone some days and try to creep back other days, and know that that's normal. That doesn't mean you're doing your program wrong if all of a sudden, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not working your program if you have, cravings come back or, attractions come back or anything like that. You just get to keep reapplying what you know works and what people tell you works. So work it because you're worth it and keep going. With that, I pass. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you feel that mindset coaching could help you on your 12-step journey, please feel free to reach out and find me at catholicmindsetcoaching.com. But more than that, it's important to me to give listeners like yourself a place where you do not need to feel alone on your 12-step journey. And for that reason, I've created a Facebook group. It's called Grateful Blessed Mess. And it's a place where listeners can go to add their own commentary on the share for the day, in addition to my own, and for us just to have a conversation or start a back and forth where people can find support in their 12-step journey. This is not a replacement for 12-step work. This is something outside of the 12 steps. It is simply something that has a heart for the 12 steps and those who are in it. And so, welcome. If you're here, chances are you may also be a bit of a mess. And I hope that you can learn to find some gratitude in the blessings that have come from your messes.